Hi there. I think the battery on the camera is about to die out, but I wanted to make a quick video about my job experiences, and I'll try my best to get as much in as possible. I might have to add more videos later. Um, but I wanted to say that, like, as far as with what I can remember, I started my transition exactly at the end of my AmeriCorps term back in on August 29th. And I really couldn't hold back. It really had to come out right around then. In retrospect, it was incredibly challenging and frustrating and depressing to um, start my transition with something unstable of a situation. So, I mean, I probably would tell my former self that if it's possible, to probably not begin transitioning while looking for a job. I would. It definitely helps to have as many levels of certainty in your life when you do. Um, but it is what it is, and it's done. And the progression of my jobs, um, I've gone from Chris to Chris without an H to Cristina, and it's been like a slow and but somewhat jerky of a progression. And um, my first jobs were doing landscaping, and I have to say that I've never had as much poison ivy as I did that summer than in the rest of my entire life. Unfortunately, a lot of those scars have faded, but I was a mess. So not only was I transitioning, I also had poison ivy on top of that. Um, and it that work slowly died down, and I just couldn't keep up with it. And as far as with the work, it's just very stressful. And as far as my own physicalness, I have arthritis and I've got lots of joint problems in my legs, so I can't really maintain that for too long without breaking down. So then I moved on to doing house cleaning, which I thought was going to be just a small little thing, but it turned out to be almost full time for a while, and then shortly after, I also started doing temporary work at the local co-op. So currently, I'm doing that house cleaning, and I'm an actual employee at the co-op now. So in both places, they address me as Cristina and use she and her. But I would say that when I think about my work experience affecting my transition, I would say that it takes a while to kind of get used to your new name, or the name that you've always carried with you, and to be addressed in a pronoun or pronouns that you normally don't hear. Um, and at first, I felt very guilty about it and felt very awkward. Um, uh, but eventually, like, I had to determine, like, what do I really want? Is this because for a while I definitely was questioning my transition, because it was so tremendously difficult, and it seemed so insurmountable of a goal or a task that I just felt like maybe I should just back down and just forget about it. Um, but I didn't, and I kept pushing, and I kept exploring myself, and I definitely explored a lot of myself through work. And I would say that it helps to be acknowledged the way that you acknowledge your own self. It's incredibly important to be validated for who you are. As far as with the job search process, I would say that I've felt a lot of antagonism and awkwardness and unease. Um, and I mean, I would dress up and show up at stores and restaurants and drop off my resume. And I don't know, the feeling that I got was just that, I mean, is Chris a waiter or a waitress? Is Chris, like, how do we present Chris? Well, let me explain one more thing. Asheville is a very touristy town, tourist-based industry, and everything's seasonal, so when it's not warm and nice and pretty, no one wants to be here. So a lot of work dies down. Um, so that's usually like the main area that folks go to work. So I feel like that Asheville itself, in terms of employment, is very conservative in its attempts to appeal to tourists. So that makes it really, really difficult being transgendered and trying to work at a place downtown, for instance. But that's not the case with all employers here. I would say that I definitely feel a lot more comfortable here than in a lot of places. And I think it's a good starting spot if you can find work. Other things. I would say that it's so important that regardless of whether or not I was presenting myself as who I am, sorry, that for me it's really important to consider survival and making it and eating and paying rent, because essentially you have to take care of your basic needs. And yes, I consider gender expression a basic need as well. But in my own life, I know that I've got some bigger goals and lots of aspirations to teach, to be a foster parent or a parent of some sort, to travel, to write, to make this documentary happen, to do lots of things, and to continue doing organizing. And I basically have thought of work as, like, regardless of whether or not I've been accepted or not, I just thought of it as, like, I just need to get this done and try to divert my focus and my attention and my heart towards things that I care on the side. So that's been one of the biggest things for me, keeping my head on my shoulders and that head sane. So I don't know how sane I am to begin with, but I would say that that's the crucial thing, to find other things that complement your life, to kind of give it a little bit more meaning, and other places where you can also dress up if you need to dress up, or do whatever you need to do to feel more comfortable, because it's not about it being on or off, black or white, step one, step two. It's like a gradual hill, and it's important to find those things that continue to make you feel stronger and more empowered. And I would say presently, like, if I had to go and look for another job, and that's another thing too, I would say that it's always important, like another thing that I've always done is, now that I've learned, is it's always important to keep looking for work just in case, because the economy is so unstable, and I don't know, like, what will happen. Something could happen in terms of my being transgendered, so I'm always trying to be thinking of the next step just in case. But yeah, that's about it, and I hope that makes some sense, and I'd like to talk more about all the little fine details, but until then, thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.